The other problem you may run into is you don't have access to the domain expertise. You do have the domain expertise in-house, but they're not in the same house as you. They're in another building or another city or another country. If you can't have access to the domain experts, then maybe you have access to the documentation. But if you don't have good documentation of the previous systems, for example, that you intend to base your product line on, then you have some real issues trying to understand what's common and variant. Probably the worst thing you can do is try to understand this high level of commonality and variability by looking at source code. Lack of tool support or lack of understanding of the analysis process. So if you're trying to use one of these methods and you don't really understand how to apply it or what it's supposed to do for you, you can end up creating a very bad representation of your reusable domain knowledge. Lack of tool support is less of an issue in this practice area than it is for some of the other practice areas. And the last one, lack of management commitment, is something that we'll see as a recurring theme in these practice areas. So for example, you've done your domain analysis, you've created a representation of the features and their variants across the proposed set of products, and after 3 months you come to management and say, now we think we have a real understanding of commonality and variability and the necessary domain knowledge and so on. And management says, 3 months? This is all you've got? A tree diagram? I thought we were going to have a product out the door by now. So I'm no longer interested in product lines. I want something that's going to get me a product in the next quarter. So expectation management is a big thing. Expectation management is a big thing, yeah. And so making sure that management understands the commitments they have to make with respect to the time necessary to create the production infrastructure and the core asset base and the time frame within which they're going to see a return on that investment. That is it's one of the major issues that we've run into in our product line work with some of our customers. The expectations of management and not setting those expectations appropriately. And plenty of references to the methods that I showed you there. Has anybody ever tried to do anything like this? A characterization of your knowledge that could be used in the building of products, or an analysis of what might be reusable, whether or not you're building a product line, but just what kinds of reusable artifacts you have?
Only from deriving classes and superclasses when we did that product.
Yeah.
Similar idea. Okay, this is common. We need to make this a superclass.
Make this a superclass of the other.
That's as close as I've come.
Most organizations don't use any of the methods I showed you. They rely on having the knowledge in-house, and they will typically represent features in a spreadsheet. And they will have a column that will say whether or not this is a common feature or a variant for specific products, and they class them that way.